Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Yaara Eliya. I am a spiritual healer and an inner peacemaker. I guide women through their journey of self-healing in a space of creating more inner peace, creating more self-love, more self-communication, more open communication with yourself throughout your life, so that you can just have a more pleasant inner space inside yourself to live from. And I'm super happy and excited to have you here with me again today. Welcome back if you're an old listener. Hello, and welcome if you're a new listener. And anyway, let's just dive in. So today, I really wanted to talk to you about a very powerful tool that I utilize in my own healing, and I want to recommend for you to utilize it also in your own healing. And that is adding question marks to your healing. I remember when I discovered this tool, and for me, it was a little bit like an epiphany. I was lying in bed in a pretty bad state emotionally and physically, in a very painful physical space, in a very broken emotional space. And I was lying in bed feeling drained, and I thought to myself all of a sudden, what if these thoughts that I'm having about myself, about my life, what if these notions and these beliefs are false? What if everything I believe in inside myself, or at least part of it is false? And then I thought, what if I add a question mark to the end of my thoughts? What would that feel like? I went ahead and tried that. And what I discovered was really amazing. I discovered that only adding an inner sense of question mark in the end of your thought would transform the energetic experience of it, the emotional experience of it. That instead of feeling that this thought is definite, that this thought is strong, that this thought has a sense of definiteness to it. Adding a question mark in the end of that thought made it negotiable. It made it so that I had a space to say, well, yes, maybe this and maybe that. It made it so that it had a space to move. My emotional experience with this thought had space to move. And I could change my mind. And changing my mind meant I could change my inner experience. And I just felt that, wow, this is a really amazing revelation. Just adding a question mark in the end of this thought. And I'm really being serious about this practice. Just add a question mark in the end of your thought completely softens the power it has over you, because it's not as strong, it's not as definite, it's not as a mountain-like anymore. It has the ability to move. It's more air than ground. So a mountain would be something that you can't move, right? A mountain would be something that it's there no matter what you do. You scream at it, you shout at it, you ask it to move, you kick it. A mountain is there, it's firm, it's strong, it's grounded. But the water or the wind, it shifts, it moves. And the water has an ability to go deeper and deeper and deeper, or you can also float on the surface of the water. So the water can have a different range of depth, and the water can shift. It could be calm, it could be more into movement, more aggressive, more relaxed. And when we add a question mark to the end of our thought, we give it that quality of water. rather than that quality of ground. And when we work with our emotional experience, when we work with our energetic self, ground and soil and mountain-like has a very big importance, and it's really, really valuable. But it can also stop us from being able to change. So we want to be strong and grounded like a mountain in some things. For example, in our inner strength, in our desires, in our wish to express ourselves, in our ability to maintain our boundaries. In some things, it's very helpful and useful to be able to maintain this ground quality, this earth quality of grounding and strength. But when it comes to things like self-judgment, when it comes to things like fears and anxiety, when it comes to things like your inner mental talk and the way that you look at yourself, having that quality of water, being able to go sometimes deeper, sometimes more shallow, being able to move in different rhythms, being able to discover different layers inside yourself, and being able to shift also and change your perspective. Sometimes I want to be shallow, sometimes I want to be deep. Change your perspective. That is very powerful, and that has a huge part in your healing. And then when you add a question mark, you allow your energy to transition from an earth energy to a more water-like energy, a more fluid energy. I love that word fluid because it actually really, really well represents the quality of water, fluidity, the ability to change endlessly and still maintain its own integrity. And that is really powerful. And I want us to be able to, or I want to offer us and invite us in our healing to be able to be more fluid, to be able to shift a little bit faster, because many times, very often, we want to change our inner patterns, our either emotional or behavioral patterns, but it is actually not really that the patterns are not able to change. It's our attachment towards these patterns. It's the fact that these patterns are giving us a sense of safety. The fact that these patterns are holding us close to the ground and we know them and they feel grounded. But what if we were able to feel safe within fluidity, within the quality of water, and to recognize that our ability to change is a power, is a strength, and it's not a weakness. And then it means that we can grow much faster and much more easily because we don't need to feel safe only in our past. We can also feel safe in the unknown, in the future of what our future patterns might hold and what our future thoughts might hold. And then when you add question marks to your inner thoughts, to your inner mental talk, to your emotions, to your judgments on yourself and on the world, it's just a great way to practice this fluidity. So I want to take this to a more practical level. And let's just be really concrete for a moment. I have a class, I live in Berlin right now, and I have a class that I teach every week. It's called Slow Flow and Energy Healing. So it's a yoga practice, a slow yoga practice combined with a self-energy healing practice. And in this practice, every week in the beginning, before we start, I have a little intro. And in the intro, I give guidelines. One of those guidelines, I call it curiosity. When I talk about curiosity, I say this. Our mind has a tendency to want to decide and have an opinion, a firm opinion on something, and then it wants to hold on to this opinion and stick to that opinion for as long as it can because it gives it safety. And so throughout this class, you might be thinking, wow, this class is stupid. You might be thinking, wow, this class is amazing. Both of these thoughts are equally valid. Both of these emotions are equally true. But what if you could tell yourself, add a question mark in the end of that sentence? And when the thought comes up throughout the class, oh wow, this class is stupid, add a question mark. Oh wow, this class is stupid? Maybe. Oh wow, this class is amazing? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it's both. But adding a question mark to that thought will allow your emotions to change throughout the class, which means you will be able to give a better chance to yourself to enjoy it and to judge it for the better and for worse. But just that simple act of saying maybe in the end of it, adding that sense of question mark will make you soften that firm grip that the mind wants to have on this opinion. And so this same practice goes to everything else that you practice with yourself and everything else in your inner mental talk. So for example, I am not succeeding in this and this because I'm lazy. Okay, well, that definitely has a certain emotional state that it brings us into, that sense of I am lazy. Let's add a question mark to that. I'm not succeeding in this and this because I'm lazy? Or just I am lazy? Question mark. Oh wow, I'm lazy? Question mark. And now we can examine this and we can say, well, lazy is a strong word. Maybe I'm not lazy, but maybe I'm just today not feeling that strongly about this thing and I don't really want to do it right now. And I'm just having some kind of sense that this is not what I need to do today. Maybe it's not lazy. And then we drop a little bit of the judgment. We can also take this towards relationships. I'm not good at creating long-term relationships. That's a statement about myself. I'm not good at creating long-term relationships. And that is a painful statement. If you think about yourself that you're not good at creating long-term relationships, how are you going to create friendships and maintain them? But then if you say, I'm not good at creating long-term relationships, maybe. Okay. But then a little window opens where the door was once locked. And in that little window, I have the space to explore this statement and say, well, you know what? There are a few long-term relationships that I've been maintaining and supporting for a really long time in my life. And they've been pretty good relationships, pretty deep relationships, pretty loving relationships. Well, maybe I'm not just that terrible at it. Okay. You see how that softens our frame of thought a little bit? And it allows us to see a different perspective about ourselves, about this statement. Now, how does this help you in your healing? You know what, let's do another example, one last example. So, I don't know how to communicate with my partner. Communication, partnership, that's a big deal. It has a big effect on your life. And then let's add a question mark. I don't know how to communicate with my partner? Okay, perhaps. Oh, wait, but I do remember that last time I was able to communicate pretty well what I was feeling. So maybe in this very moment, I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed and stressed, and I'm struggling to communicate this with myself. And then obviously it's harder to communicate this with my partner. Okay, that's a nice little softening, a nice opening that we've created there. And so, as you can see, adding question marks to your healing, to your inner mental talk, to your self-judgment, It opens a window where once there was a locked door. It adds movement to a space that felt very strict once. And when you have that ability to be more fluid in the way that you look at things, when you have that ability to explore other parts of this sentence, when you have the ability to look sometimes deeper, sometimes more shallow than this statement, you open in yourself a space for more self-compassion, for more self-love, for being more kind to yourself. And you also open in yourself a space to change your mind. How important is that in our healing? To change our mind. Because if you are not here to change your mind, what are you doing? Healing, a huge part of it is changing our mind. We have to be able to say no to some of the things that we have been feeling so far. We have to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to believe you anymore, to some of the self-judgment that we've been experiencing and we've been taking with us for years and years and years. And that is changing your mind. And that is something that we learn how to do, that we practice. And there are tools to help us do this. And adding question marks is one of those tools. And if I still didn't convince you, then why don't you try this for yourself for a moment? Go ahead and take something from your day-to-day, not something far away and big and huge. Something from your day-to-day that you've been thinking or feeling in the past few days, that you've had this strong, firm grip over, that you can even feel it in your body. It's locked, it's stuck in my throat, in my chest, in my shoulders, up in my jaw. And say that sentence to yourself. Say that statement. It's a statement, and usually it's a firm one. State that statement to yourself and see how it feels. What comes up in your body? Really, really notice it. Do it now. Do it with me. State that statement to yourself. I am. 1, 2, 3. And now notice what it does to your body. Notice. Really observe. What part of your body reacts? What part of your body feels like it's saying, ooh, I can feel that responding. My throat is clenching. My jaw is locking. My shoulders are becoming tight. There's this heaviness in my chest. What part of your body is responding to that? And what does it feel like? What does this sensation in your body feel like? Maybe give it a descriptive word. It feels heavy. It feels tense. It feels light. It feels like it's moving. Just 1 or 2 words. Great. Now take a breath. Deep breath. In through the nose. Out through your mouth. And as you relax, as you breathe out, just release this thought. Now we're going to repeat this thought, but you're going to say that with a question mark in the end. Let's give it a try. I am da 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 question mark. I am 1, 2, 3 question mark. Okay. What happens in your body now? What does it feel like? Does it feel exactly the same like it did before? Or maybe there's a little bit of a different sensation. As if you're, instead of looking directly at a wall, you're looking through a window. Through the side. You're coming a little bit through the side going, I see you, thought, but not 100% believing you. How does it feel? Does it feel lighter in your body? Is there a little bit more of an expansion or movement in that same space that was once before tight and locked, that reacted to the previous thought, to the previous statement? I think you're starting to get where I'm going with this. adding that question mark allows your body also to experience this different kind of energy, this energy that is not as tight, not as pressing, just a little bit more loose, and that has a little bit more options, possibilities. So next time you find yourself feeling, thinking, saying something very firm, very strong, very limiting, add a question mark to the end of that thought. Notice how it changes in your body. And then maybe take it a step further and go, okay, well, this statement is sometimes true, but what else is true? Are there other thoughts that are more welcomed now that I've softened this judgment? What else is possible? What other options are there other than this concrete thought? And then just take a breath and let yourself soak it in. Let yourself explore these thoughts and change and shift. Change your mind. Grow. Heal. Yeah. This tool of adding question marks, I think it's really powerful, and I think it's transformative. And I can tell you for sure that for me it has been transformative in my life. I can tell you for sure that it has a lot of power in my own healing. And whenever I bring this up with people, there's always a little bit of an aha moment where inside themselves they say, oh wait, right, it's not definite. My thought is not definite. And that's awareness, and that's growth, and that's fluidity. So I hope you take this tool with you and you practice it. And I hope you give it the space to awaken something in you. I hope you give it the possibilities that you deserve to have. You are fluid. Yes, you're ground. Yes, you're earth, but you're also water. So dive into your healing, dive into your possibilities, dive into all sorts of different things that you can think and feel and be. And don't get stuck on a certain emotional pattern just because it's been there for a long time. You are also water, and water is life. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do give it a thumbs up, give it a like, a hug, a share, whatever you can do in the space and the platform that you are listening this on. Just give it a little love. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.